Hello everyone, Debbie here again from Spain with the third video showing you some other items you're going to need for glass fusing and also some non-essential items that you might want to consider in the future.
This is primer for your moulds or kiln wash. I don't use kiln wash on my shelves because it can stick to your pieces, particularly if you're doing little pieces. So I use the paper. And one final thing I did. These are just a couple of moulds. So moulds will give another aspect to your jewellery and can make life easier for you in some respects, but they just give you different options. And when you're confining the bounds of your glass in a mould, it means you can have it a lot thicker than 6mm if you want, which means that you can add more layers, which means you get more depth and more variation to your pieces, and you can individualize them to your own personal requirements. That's the nice thing about glass jewellery as well, is that it is a personal achievement. It's something that you've made that probably nobody else could make again. In fact, it's very difficult to make exactly the same piece twice, and I tend not to. I like to try and make different things, and I'm sure you will as well. This is my kiln shelf, which you can see has got old kiln wash on it. You can use kiln wash if you want, as I used to in the early days, but I found that it does tend to can stick to your pieces a lot, and if you're doing very little pieces, can be a bit fiddly. If you're doing dots and things like that, it's a bit difficult then to get it off. So I just generally tend to use the paper now, which is this sort, special kiln paper, and this is this side down, so it goes down, and just cut it to the shape I want. I find if I'm using kiln paper like this, if I'm doing a full fuse, I would have to replace it the next time. If I'm doing a fire polish or a tack fuse, I can just take the pieces off when it's finished and use it again. Just leave it on there, just help make the paper go a bit further. So that's ready. Put my pieces on.
And this particular one that I've got here, it tells you on the back which side is up and which side is down. This is fibre paper, which is thicker. You can get 1mm, 2mm, 3mm, etc. And it can be used in place of the paper. It is a bit more expensive depending on what thickness you get, but it can also be used for kiln carving, in that you can cut a shape out of it, put the shape below the glass, and then the glass will slump over the shape. So it has quite a few useful purposes. It's worth having a little bit of this in your arsenal, but it's not a necessity.
Another thing that you're going to need to consider is obviously finishing off your pieces. You're going to want to put a bail on them, or you could drill holes in them if you wanted to. I buy my bails from AliExpress because I get them cheap. They're silver plated, they look nice, and depending on the piece, depends on the bail that I will put on. That's for the wider pieces. They're like heart-shaped bails, and these for the finer pieces, leaf-shaped bails, and they work quite well. You can pay. I used to buy completely solid sterling silver bails. Can work out expensive, and they were difficult to get at the right price. I did find a few places to get them at a really good price, but it was a lot of research to find those. So I just go for the silver plated bails now, and nowadays they're quite good, and you'll get to find a place that you like that provides good ones, and you'll just buy from them. But it's amazing how many you get through. You need a good glue to stick them on with. Use Gorilla Glue alongside as a comparison to E6000, and I have to say that the Gorilla Glue didn't really do the job. The E6000 was much better, and then the ultimate really is an epoxy that you mix, and that creates a really strong glue.
You'll also need to consider what to hang your pendants on. These are some like grey silvery cord. You can get them all colours, which I got from AliExpress, and these come in different thicknesses. This is a 2mm thickness, and these work out quite cheap. They've got extender chains on them, which is nice because then you can cater for everyone's preference as to what length they want their pendants to be. Try to cover all eventualities. It creates more sales then if you can encompass more people. Just be careful when buying things like this that the ends of them will actually fit through your bales. I bought a load once and they were all too thick and wouldn't go through the bales. These work out quite cheap. They were $1 for 10, so they weren't too bad price wise. And I also bought these, well, I bought them as solid sterling silver chains. Again, you can get 1mm, 2mm, 3, well, up to whatever you want depending on what price you want to pay. I'm not 100% convinced that when you buy these, and there's a lot of sellers of these on eBay, that they are actually solid sterling silver, or sterling silver even, which is 92.5% silver content, although they are stamped as such. But I've had a few go black. I've had some that have stayed quite a nice colour and some that have gone black. These can vary. The cheapest I bought these, it was 5 pieces for £1.79 on eBay, but I have paid up to £6. This is £6 for 10. It just depends what sellers you catch on what days on eBay. And I like the snake chains because they're a little bit thicker and they stop the pendant twisting round on the neck. You can get finer chains, you can get different types of chains, but obviously you have to be aware that the pendant can turn around on someone's neck then, and obviously the back's not as nice as the front. So that's something to consider. And again, look at the ends to make sure that they will go through your bales. I don't sell them as solid sterling silver chains unless I'm absolutely certain, and I have cut some in half and tried to see if there is any copper running through the middle of them. So unless I'm sure, I only sell them as silver plated chains, even though I've bought them as solid sterling silver chains. So they're a little bit more expensive than the others, but you can offer them as free gifts if you want to help promote your sales, or use those instead of the cords.
Couple of more things that I just wanted to show you. Again, they're not essential, but they are something that can help you create different types of jewellery. Mica. This was a set that I bought a while ago. You get a lot. This is you get a lot mainly because people that do big projects like bowls and things like that would use a lot of it. Obviously, you don't use very much when you're doing your jewellery, so it lasts you for a long time. It's very, very shiny. There are certain rules to working with mica, and we will cover that as we go on, but they're nice. So glitter copper red, glitter diamond white, glitter bronze, glitter gold, and glitter diamond pearl. Something else to use with mica, flexiglass. Flexiglass, which is what it says, flexible glass. It's a type of medium, and you can create stringers, and best way to describe it, I'll show you what you can do. What you do is, this is a sheet that you buy that goes with flexiglass. Directions: look, liberally brush transfer sheets with flexiglass medium and add dry glass powders or frits. Bake for 20 to 30 minutes at 200 degrees Fahrenheit. And what you do is you paint your flexiglass on, thin layer, paint it all on there with a brush, sprinkle your mica on, and then you put it in your kiln or the oven or whatever to cure, and then you've got something like, this is the top of it. This is one I did earlier. This is a combination of the micas. So you've got the gold and the silver and the copper bronze here. This is the back of it. And then you can put that in your piece. You can cut it out. You can, stamp it with one of stamp cutters, different shapes. or whatever you want to do, and that'd make a lovely piece anyway, wouldn't it? You know, if it was just cut out, capped, put on glass, put in on a full fuse, and hey presto. However, I haven't used it yet. I haven't put it on a full fuse yet, so I'm going to be doing that one day, and we'll see what happens with it. I also did a little bit of paint, a little bit of art painting with mica as a little bit of an experiment as well, and I mixed this with the Flexi Glass and tried to create some patterns with it. I tried to create some cells as well, which is a work in progress, but I quite liked this. Is just on white. This is just not, it's not fused or anything. Look, I just did it on a piece of white glass, so it will peel off as if it had been on that sheet. But I thought, well, what I would do is actually cut that piece out there and cap it and fuse it. I may do something else on top of it first, because I think that's quite pretty. That centre came out quite well, and that was just putting it on in bands and using a toothpick to just go up and down to create a bit of pattern with it. But that'd be interesting as well. Oh yes, the other thing you can do with it is you can mix it thicker and add some isopropyl alcohol to it. It does give you the instructions for these, and you can create stringers then, which you can, like stringers like thin things like this, but you can create them in curly shapes or whatever to use as in your pieces if you wanted to make like trees or plant stalks or a variety of other things. That's just off the top of my head. Then cut to shape with scissors. Flexiglass threads. Mix 1 teaspoon of flexiglass enamel and 1 teaspoon of alcohol and 2 teaspoons of flexiglass medium. You don't need to use the enamel. I'd do it with powders or frit or mica. I'm sure it would work just as well. Mix well, bake for 200 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 to 30 minutes. With detailed instructions and uses, go to their site. I have been to their site. There's not really an awful lot on there other than doing the sheets with it, but I think with a bit of thought there's a lot of that this could be used for, and it would be interesting to see if anybody has any ideas. I think this opens up another avenue to making some different unique jewellery. You know, it's nice to know you've got these options. And something else to create a different effect with your pieces goes hand in hand mainly with mica, I would say, is a little stamp pad. So I bought some of these little stamps. They're actually ink stamps from a craft place, because I thought, oh, I'll play with that. And so you've got the little stamp on the bottom. What you do is you stamp on the pad, and then you stamp onto your, here's a sample here, on your piece of glass. So that's been stamped with some of them. I was trying them out, and then you sprinkle your mica on, tap it off, and it sticks basically to this, whatever the shape of the stamp is, and then you'll cap it and give you another type of jewellery. Another thing that I've got here is enamel. I haven't used it yet, couldn't resist it. You'll see lots of tutorials on the internet of using enamel in your, these are non-lead, not got no lead in them. And you use them together with a medium, mix them with that, and then you're able to put them into your pieces, fuse them, and create some more effects. Not an essential, probably a luxury, really. You can make nice pieces without them. It's just that I wanted to play with them. Okay, I think that video is long enough. Now the next video are the final few things of accessories that I think you might be interested in. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video, video 4. Bye for now.